Hello and welcome to another episode of Strictly Healthy. We're very pleased to be able to bring these various episodes to you every week. That's on a Thursday, 4 p.m. GMT. And today I had a fun episode recording with Natalie Hurdley, who is a Team GB athlete and personal trainer. Now, I did record this earlier, so I am sharing because she had another appointment, so she couldn't join us live. But please stay with us because she shared some fascinating tips with regard to how we can lop off those lockdown lumps. So hopefully you can join us and just bear with me while I just sort of tee that up. So I want to welcome in Natalie Hurdley, who is part of Team GB, actually, in the UK, and I'm very pleased to have her on. She will be talking about how we can lop off some of those lockdown lumps. So I want to welcome you in, Natalie. Thanks for joining me today. How are you doing anyway?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm really good. Thank you. Really
Very
good.
good. Very good. Right. So the topic today is how we can lop off some of those lockdown lumps. And I am embarrassed because I'm trying to hide mine because I was doing fairly well at the beginning of lockdown, but it's just gotten pretty worse actually as time has gone on. As I'm sure with most people, we get a little tired, we get a little frustrated, and then we comfort eat or something, and then it just doesn't work. But before we get into that, just want to find out a little bit about yourself and how you became part of Team GB and all that sort of thing, if you don't mind sharing that.
Absolutely. So I grew up in sport. I used to play professional football. I played for Wolverhampton Wanderers for 8 seasons. Yeah, so I grew like sports just been part of my life for such a long time. And then I went to college and studied to be a personal trainer. I got a lot of my coaching badges as well in sports.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of just fell in love with the gym really. And what I loved about the gym was the fact that I could help people in sport to become better at their sport by working on their weaknesses without interrupting what their coaches were doing with them.
Right.
But the other thing I loved was that I could just help anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have to be in sport. They could just want a better or a healthier life. And then I sort of fell into that. I went to do some personal training at Virgin Active, so Richard Branson's gym, and obviously high quality, being Virgin, and the type of customers that were there, if you like, were completely different. So I really got into training people who were busy running businesses and being family people. And it was just a case of train me and get me the results in the quickest time with the least amount of effort possible. And that was a huge learning curve for me because I'd grown up training pretty much every day. And then when I was studying, it was all about consistency, and it was all about, getting out there and making it a part of your daily life.
Sure.
So when I went to do sessions out of Virgin, it really taught me how to adapt exercise, healthy eating, and just an active lifestyle into someone's life who really thought they did not have the time.
Right. Oh, well, that's perfect for me, I think.
Yeah, and everybody's heard it. I want to exercise, I just don't have the time.
Yeah, sure. How did you become part of Team GB? Or if you could tell us how that happened.
So I never joined Team GB until I was 29. So yeah, I and to be honest with you, it was completely by accident. I was training in a gym on my own. I wasn't working. I was just training myself. And this like old guy came up to me and he was like, I think you've got really good potential in terms of strength. How do you feel about coming to train with us? We train every day, this time here. And I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm not interested. And then he asked me every single month for about 4 months. And then the 4th month, he said, I don't understand. You've represented your town in football. You've represented your county in swimming, because I used to swim for my county. And you don't want to represent your country? And I was like, hold on a minute. What? I don't know what you're talking about. And he was like, oh, I'm a powerlifting coach for Team GB.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I just thought you were a guy in the gym asking me to come and train.
He could have said that at first in the beginning, couldn't he?
And I was like, I'm not strong. I'm not powerful. I can't be a power lifter. And he said, you haven't got a coach. If you had a coach, you'd actually do really well. And then I gave in. I went to train with them. And I didn't think I was going to like it, but I fell in love with it really quickly. Right. And then I think I was training with them for about 2 months. And he said, we've got a charity competition coming up. I'd really like you to go and represent the team. It's local, so why not? And I like to do stuff for charity. So I went along, and that was December 2019. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I got the bug. And then February 2020, I went in and actually did a proper competition for the country, and
okay,
I did okay. Yeah. And then all through lockdown, it's just been keep on top of it as much as I can. And then I've got my next competition in about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks.
Where's that going to be then?
That's going to be in Glasgow.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm going to be trying to qualify for the British Championships later this year.
Right. Oh wow, that sounds amazing. So yeah, how many will be in the team?
Over the course of the year, I'm not sure how many are going, because there's been a lot of people who have taken a bit of a step back because of lockdown. And I think that's the same with everybody, to be honest. But we've got quite a lot of competitions that people can go to qualify for the British. It's not just the one. I know that I'm the only person representing the team in Scotland, but then the other competitions that are coming up that are spread across the country, there'll be a lot more team members representing there. And we're all just trying to qualify for the British, and then hopefully we'll have a really big team at the British.
Oh wow. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. So, I guess you are working obviously on doing your best and seeing how you can beat the competition. So do you think that things will work out with all the restrictions and so on and everything? How will things be different for the teams, do you think, in terms of how people can get together and so on?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, we're looking at the next 2 competitions that I'm doing are quite soon. So I think they'll go ahead. I think they'll be fine. But then the big competitions, which is the World Championships and the British Championships, aren't until the back end of the year. Obviously, for us, we're going to be in flu season. I don't know how that's going to affect anything. Nobody does. We've got to, we've just got to hope for the best, and we've got to train as though it's going. As far as we're concerned, we're going to train as though it is going ahead, and then if it doesn't, there's nothing we could do about it. It just doesn't.
Yeah, because we got the variant and all the rest of it as well too going on, so we don't know how things will culminate, won't it?
Absolutely. And I don't worry about things that I can't control. I just worry about what I can. So
well, indeed. Right. So you're going to share some tips with us today and show us, or well, I don't know if you're able to show us, but you're going to share some of your best tips on how we can tone up those lockdown lumps.
Sure.
So if you want to do that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I get when I get people come to me, there's two things that they usually want. They want to lose weight and they want to tone up. That's usually what they want.
Yeah.
And the first thing that you need to consider, especially as a woman, what does toning up actually mean to you? Because the amount of different answers that I've had over the years is huge.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you say, okay, you want to lose weight, everybody knows what that means. It's just everybody's amount of weight that they want to lose is different, right?
Sure.
But when it comes to toning up, your vision of toning up and mine could be completely different. And if you're kind of following a plan, or if you're kind of going for something that is actually a different visual to what you've got in your mind, you're already onto a lost cause, because you're chasing something that you don't actually really want. So your motivation is going to pretty much go straight away. So in terms of toning up, you have to think about what that actually means to you. So toning up to me is all about muscle definition. And then when you look at muscle definition, again, especially as a woman, does that mean that you're going to look bulky? Does that mean that you have to build a lot of muscle? That puts a lot of women off, where actually that's just not true. The only way that you're going to bulk up, if you like, is if you're taking testosterone. That's it. We don't have enough in our system to naturally bulk up.
Yeah. So
if you see a woman and you think that she's bulky due to lifting weights, she's not. She's just not.
So if she is bulky, it's because she's been taking testosterone.
Yeah.
Okay. And what part does protein play in all of it?
So protein's job is to repair, recover, and help build muscle. And when I say build muscle, I don't mean bulky muscle. I mean just build the strength. Yeah. Can women build muscle? Yes, we can. Can we build it and become bulky with it? No, we can't unless we take something for it. So for me, I always use me as an example. I don't think I'm bulky in any way. But I lift a ridiculous amount of weight 4 days a week, every week.
What weight do you, what's the strong or the heaviest you've lifted? So
the heaviest I've lifted for my type of lifting is a back squat. I've lifted 110 kilos. For bench press, I've lifted 65 kilos, and for a deadlift, I've lifted 125 kilos.
Goodness me. I mean, that sounds incredible to me. I don't know.
Yeah, and like for me, I sit at about a 73, 74 kilo body weight. So
yeah, that's like nearly twice yours, isn't it, or more?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I eat a lot of protein because I have to repair and recover my muscles, and I need to build strength, which protein is going to aid me to do. But I'm not bulky, and I've been doing this a while. So if I'm not bulky, then the likelihood is you're not going to bulk up either.
Yeah, and you've been doing it a while, so yeah. I get that.
So yeah, it's something that women should not even have in their head. It's a fear that women should just get out of their mind straight away, because, like I said, unless they're taking something they shouldn't be, and it's not something you're going to take by accident. So it's really just get that out of your head straight away.
Okay. All right. So we got to find out what toning means. That's sort of the first step.
And I think like I said, for me, it's muscle definition. So it's being able to see a little bit of your muscle through your skin, right?
Yeah.
Not a massive amount, just a little bit. Maybe it means you having a flat stomach. Maybe it doesn't, because maybe you've had kids and you've got that kind of mum tum, You can still get that flat and be like, oh my God, this is toned. And for other people, a toned stomach might mean a visible six-pack. And that's down to the individual person. And there's no right or wrong. That's completely your decision. It's your body. It's up to you how far you want to take it. But you need to kind of get that idea into your head of what it actually means so you can train the right way for it and eat the right way for it as well.
Okay. So what then do you suggest for women then in terms of toning? What in particular can they do? Okay,
so the first thing you've got to do is you have to incorporate some form of resistance training. And when I talk about resistance training, it could mean weight training, and it doesn't have to be heavy weights. It could be tiny little dumbbells, that you can just keep in your house. It can be body weight training, so it can be just lifting your own body weight. It can be using something like a kettlebell, a suspension trainer, a medicine ball. It could be any of those things. It's just something that's going to add a little bit of resistance to your actual workout. If you look at the majority of women can't lift their own body weight. So they automatically think that resistance training is something that they can't do because they can't lift their own body weight. Where actually, if you start to incorporate resistance training at a much lighter scale, you're going to learn how to lift your own body weight, and then you've got your whole body as a completely other form of equipment that you can then utilize.
Okay.
And resistance training can start off so light. It doesn't have to be heavy at all.
Well, you know what I do? I just sort of prop myself on the back of on the chair or something, and then just kind of push myself up and down like that.
Yeah.
Would that help?
Well, that is a form of resistance training.
Yeah.
So that's a form of resistance training where you're using your body weight. And then my next tip for toning up is making sure that your workout is balanced. So a lot of people like to train.
Yeah. So what would you recommend then in that regard?
So what I mean by a balanced workout is if you train the front of your body, train the back. So for your example, if you're training the back of your arms with a tricep dip,
yes,
you've got to train the front of your arm.
Right. So that would be lifting weights.
So that would be a bicep curl. And again, it doesn't have to be weights. You could literally get some tins of food out of your cupboard and do some bicep curls.
So it doesn't have to be heavy necessarily.
No, it doesn't have to be heavy. Just a little form of resistance for a beginner is fantastic. But if you train the front, you've got to train the back. And that's the same with everything. If you train the front of your leg, you've got to train the back of your leg. If you train your chest, you've got to train your back. If you train the front of your shoulder, you've got to train the back. And the reason being is if you don't, you create some form of muscle imbalance. And having a muscular imbalance at first can affect your weight loss. It can affect your strength. It can affect your muscle tone. It can affect your growth. It can affect everything. However, down the line, it's probably going to affect your joints. It's probably going to affect your bones. It's probably going to affect your posture. It's probably going to cause you actual physical pain when you move. Because your muscles aren't balanced and working together to help you to move correctly.
Okay.
So that would be my second tip.
Yeah. So what could we do though in that regard to help us? Can you give us an idea?
Yeah.
On
so
what we can do to be balanced?
Yeah. So for example, if like I said, your example, if you're doing tricep dips off the chair like this.
Yes. Yeah.
You can get some water bottles, you can get some tins of food, and you can bicep curl.
Yeah. So how many repetitions should we do? What would be sort of as a starting point, say begin? I'm not really a beginner, but I haven't been consistent with it. So what sort of things do we do?
See, consistency is key.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's consistency. But sets and reps wise, I would probably go for between 8 and 12 reps. If the weight's too light, definitely head towards 12. And sets wise, 3 to 4 sets is perfect. Again, when you can do 4 sets of 12 reps comfortably, you really want to look at getting something that's a little bit heavier.
Right. Okay. All right. So balance. Make sure it's balanced. What's your next?
So my next tip is to increase your intensity, which we've just brushed on. So then the intensity is you actually getting started. But if you have been doing bits and pieces like yourself, then what you would do is you would potentially increase your sets or increase your reps. The other way to do it is you could increase your weight. The other way to do it is you could increase or decrease the speed. So for a tricep dip, for example, you would decrease the speed to make it more intense. So instead of you just going up and down, what you would do potentially is you'd go, right, so I'm going to take 3 seconds to push up. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And what we call that is that's called time under tension. And time under tension, when that's longer, your muscle has got to work harder.
I see.
So that's another way of increasing intensity. So you can look at it like that.
That's a good point. So is it actually better to be slower than to move quicker? Because you see a lot of people in the gym and they're pumping and they're moving and, with weights, they're moving fairly quickly. It's obviously better to be slower with your weight.
It does depend on the exercise. It depends on the technique. It depends on the position. But in general, for a lady who just wants to tone up, then the longer the time under tension, the better.
Right. Okay. All right. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Because I find sometimes I'll get out of bed and then I start moving really quickly but I think the body needs to stretch. It needs to warm up. It needs to get used to the fact that you're starting to move it now and all that sort of thing. So it's better to move slower, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what your warm-up's for. So what you would do is you would go, well, what I'll do is I'll have a 5-minute warm-up where I'm walking or I'm on the bottom step of my stairs and I'm just up and down on the step of the stairs. And I'm just going to do this for 3 to 5 minutes. And I'm just going to get the blood going. I'm going to get all my body just moving. And I'm going to basically send a signal to my body that exercise is coming. And then you're going to be warm and you'll perform better.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good.
Yep.
That's some excellent tips here. I'm really learning. I'm learning a lot, even though I do a bit of exercise, but I'm learning more specifics and getting down to the nitty gritty. So this is excellent.
Cool. So tip number 4 is invest in some equipment unless you go to a gym.
Right.
So if you go to a gym, don't worry about it because the gym have got the equipment.
Of course.
Your investment is obviously your gym membership.
Sure.
If you don't want to go to a gym or if you can't get to a gym, then definitely invest in some equipment. If you're a beginner, you don't need to do this straight away. But once you've sort of got a consistent routine and you're like, I'm going to stick to this now, it's time to up my level a little bit, definitely invest in some equipment. Now, when I say this, people automatically think, oh, I haven't got the space or I haven't got the money. That's their first 2 thoughts, right? And I can get rid of those thoughts straight away because what I recommend my clients buy don't break the bank and they are really small to keep in anyone's house. So the 2 pieces that I recommend, one is a resistance band.
Right.
A long resistance band. They come in different resistances. So you can get a resistance band as light as 5 kilos. And they usually go up 2.5 kilos a band. And the one that I recommend people get, the one that I recommend women get is 7.5 kilo band. Okay. And it's £6.99 where I go.
Okay.
And mine has lasted me over 2 years.
Right. Okay.
So,
I suppose we could get these online as well, like,
yeah.
through
So,
Amazon or whatever.
yeah. So the one that I love is from Decathlon.
Okay.
So that's from Decathlon, and that's £6.99. And like I said, an investment of £6.99 for over 2 years is nothing, right? You spend more on your concert every day. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, sure.
so and from a space perspective, they're super light, they're super small, and you can take them anywhere.
You could just roll them up and chuck them under your bed, whatever. Yeah.
Anywhere, I mean, when you roll it up, you fit in your coat pocket, so you haven't got to worry about the space. And then the other thing I recommend people have a look at getting is a suspension trainer. Now, a suspension trainer is a little bit more tricky, and most people will look at a suspension trainer and they will already know a TRX. TRX is the original suspension trainer, and because of that, they're expensive. They're at the top end of the chain. I think they're between £100 and £200. However, my suspension trainer, which is what I recommend clients get, cost me £15 from Decathlon.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it does pretty much exactly the same thing as a TRX.
I don't know if I've seen what a suspension trainer looks like. I'll have to look that up online.
A suspension trainer is something. It's like two straps like this held together by a strap.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then you hook the strap to something. Like you can hook it to the top of your door with a block, shut the door, and then you can use your door.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You can if you've got like a banister, then you can hook it around your banister and use it there. There's a couple of things that you can do with it. I wouldn't buy one if you've got nowhere to attach it.
Right. Well, most people have somewhere to attach it, like you say, a door or the stairway.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are worried that it's going to ruin their door. And all it is, it comes with the suspension trainer, and it's a soft little block, and all it does is goes on the other side of your door, so it doesn't ruin your door at all. And like I said, the one that I've got, I think I've had it for about 6 years, and it's still going strong. You can get them at £15. You can get them from Argos. You can get them from Decathlon. There's a couple of places. I definitely wouldn't spend more than £20 on a suspension trainer.
So maybe after we finish the broadcast, you could put in the chat your links, on the video. I'll put it on Facebook and various other places, but you could put your links if you like on where we could get some of this equipment.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
All right, cool. Yeah.
And then my last tip for toning is if you've been trying to lose weight, you should be eating in what we call a calorie deficit. If you want to tone up and you are in a calorie deficit, the process is slower. It's still doable, but it's just slower. If you want to tone up a little bit quicker, maybe you've hit your weight loss goal, or maybe your weight loss goal, you're happy for that to slow down. So what you'll do is you will eat more in line with your maintenance calories than your deficit calories. For example, if you're trying to lose weight, you will probably be in about a 15% calorie deficit. If you want to,
okay,
I usually start people off on around 15%. Again, it depends on how much they want to lose. It depends on all sorts of things. But you really start them off in about a 15% calorie deficit. Then, if you're like, well, actually, I do want to lose a bit of weight, but toning up is more important to me, then what I would do is maybe shrink that deficit to a 5% deficit. Because the closer you are to your maintenance calories, the faster you're going to be able to notice the definition over the weight loss. So between that, you're just going to have to prioritize which one you want more. You can get both of them both ways, but one is going to slow down when the other one speeds up.
So what would you recommend? Is it better than to go with maintenance and try and get definition and tone? Is that it better in the long run as opposed to trying to lose weight?
Not necessarily. It depends on the individual person. If weight loss is more important to you, then do it that way. Because what will happen is when you get closer to your weight loss goal, when you hit your maintenance weight loss, when you hit your weight loss goal, you'll go into a maintenance anyway. And then when you get closer to that goal, you'll go into a maintenance anyway. So it kind of just depends what's more important to you. And you can decide that. You prioritize that. I get ladies come to me and they'll go, I want to lose weight and tone up. I'm like, okay, which one's more important? Oh, well, and then we go through a discussion, because if toning up is more important to them, then their calorie consumption will change.
Right. Okay. I'm getting a good picture of this now, what I need to be doing. So what sorts of foods would you recommend in terms of losing weight, and then in terms of maintenance? What would you recommend?
Okay. So it's all about calories. The type of food.
No particular food.
No. If people say to you, eat clean, ignore them. If people say to you,
why?
If people say to you, don't eat junk food, ignore them. If people say to you, there's good and bad foods, ignore them. The only reason you shouldn't ignore them is if you're allergic to something, or if you have an intolerance. If you're like me and you're not allergic to anything and you're not intolerant to anything, you eat what you want when you want, right? So the reason most diets fail is because you are restricting yourself from things that you enjoy. And guess what? If you don't enjoy it, you're never going to stick to it. And if you're not going to stick to it, you're never going to do it.
It's not going to happen.
And this is a long-term game, right? Our health is a long-term game. Whether you're looking for weight loss or not.
Okay. All right. I hear your argument, but I got to ask this question. Carbs seems to be, well, for me, if I have a carb or even look at a carb, I gain weight.
Okay.
So, and when I gain weight, my health goes down.
Okay.
So for me, I need to avoid carbs like the plague if I can. Okay. And I know I love carbs, and I'd love to have whatever.
You definitely don't need to avoid carbs. There is a link there somewhere that you're missing, and it's not carbohydrates. It's something else.
Okay.
So, are you familiar with what macronutrients are?
Macronutrients. I've heard the term, not entirely sure.
Okay, so macronutrients are essential nutrients to our body, right? And there's three macronutrients: fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. The reason that they are essential is because our body needs them. So for us to cut any of them out is not a good idea at all, right? So you have to look at your calories as a whole, not about eliminating anything. Like I said, unless you're allergic or intolerant, don't eliminate anything unless you just don't like it, right? So carbohydrates are essential to the functioning of our body. So is protein, and so is fat. So protein's job, which we talked about before, is repair, recover, and rebuild. That's its job. If we don't have enough protein, our muscular system is going to suffer. Fat's job is to help insulate and protect our body. We need fat because it's essential for a fully functioning body in terms of keeping our core temperature right, in terms of keeping our organs functioning properly, in terms of giving us that protection. Then you've got carbohydrates. Carbohydrates' job is to produce us with energy. So you need carbohydrates in order to function correctly. And I don't know whether you've ever heard this, but most people who give up carbohydrates become miserable and moody.
Yeah.
That's why. Because we need carbohydrates to provide us with energy. And if you're gaining weight by eating carbs, it's because you're eating too many. It's not because you're eating carbs, it's because you're eating too many of them. But
I take a small portion of rice or something, you know.
Yeah, but you're looking at it as one meal, and you can't do that. You have to look at it as a long-term plan. So when I put somebody on a new carbohydrate target or a new calorie target, it's not measured over one meal, it's measured over a week. Say, right, you're going to stick to this for 7 days, right? Over the course of that 7 days, then we'll remeasure your weight. If your weight's gone up and you've stuck to it, we need to get your calories down, not your carbohydrates, your calories, your overall calories, not carbohydrates, right? If we want you to, if you've lost weight, guess what? We're going to keep you right there. If you've maintained your weight, we're going to take your calories down, but just a little bit.
Okay.
So you have to look at calories over a whole, not over one meal.
Okay. I just want to switch gears, and I know time is marching on here, and you've got to go in a minute, but I just want to switch gears to find out what sorts of injuries do you find is happening with people that you deal with, or people in the gym. What are they doing wrong? That was one question, and then another, if you could,
Okay, so
briefly, and then another question.
Injuries wise, depends on the individual. Most things that come up are shoulder pain, knee pain, hip pain, and lower back pain, and usually they're all related. So a lot of the time with the shoulder, it's because people are turning in their shoulder into a hinge, and it's a ball and socket, and it's because we don't move them, right? So if you don't move your shoulder in a rotation, eventually it's going to get stuck in a hinge, and then when you try and rotate it, it's going to cause a problem because you've trained it in the wrong way, and that's just through unhealthy repetition. And then hip wise, loads of people suffer with their hips, and that's down to a sedentary lifestyle usually, and carrying excess weight. Knee problems is the same, usually because of a sedentary lifestyle or carrying more weight than they need to. And then your lower back ache is usually down to the fact that your bum isn't firing first, and your bum should be doing the main bit of work. And the reason it's not doing it, it's because we're sitting on it too much.
Plain and simple. That's good. Now,
plain and simple. I'm plain and simple. That's what I do.
So the last question I had for you is, what part do you think inflammation plays in terms of problems in the body and injuries and so on?
Oh, huge. Huge. Yeah. And everybody's different, so I've got a massive amount of inflammation in my body, and touch wood, I don't suffer from injuries very often at all, but that's because I look after every aspect of my health. So I look after my flexibility, I work on my mobility, I work on my strengths, I work on my conditioning, I work on my cardio, I work on all aspects of my health. So even though I've got a lot of inflammation, it doesn't cause me any problems because I look after my body every day on a whole, and I don't just focus on one area.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much, Natalie. That was brilliant information, brilliant advice. I've learned a whole lot, and I'm sure other people watching this video later on will also learn a lot. But perhaps we can have you back at another time to just share some more tips with us.
Sure. Look forward to it.
Great. Thank you ever so much. So that was Natalie. She was sharing some of her tips on how to lop off those lockdown lump. Anyway, I just want to say thank you very, very much for coming on, joining us and watching this episode of Strictly Healthy as we talk about how we can sort our problems with all these excess weight, etc. Natalie actually shared some really excellent tips with us. So hopefully you can watch it on replay when you can. So that's it for now. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you same time, same space on Strictly Healthy. Bye for now.